Hello everyone. Today I kind of want to make a very different video compared to what I make usually, is because during the last 2 weeks I had been kind of religiously watching the RLCS World Championship, which is like the main event there is in Rocket League's esports circuits, and it's kind of the end of their year-long open circuit that they have for their game. And overall I felt like, oh, that was such a banger event. It kind of gave you a good idea of what an esports event should look like, that it basically feels like this massively elevated community event that brings all the communities together for this like massive showdown at the very end. And overall it was an absolute banger. The production was very well done and everything like that. Basically it was a well-run event, was a very good presentation of what esports can be as well. And one of the main reasons why I kind of want to make this video is not only too much fanboy about the event, but more so to kind of bring up how interesting connections there are within the Rocket League scene and the Trackmania scene. While Trackmania is definitely the way more older game, the one with the more history, and I would say the more diversity with what you can do within the game. Rocket League being way more straight to the point, younger, also having a much younger player base, definitely kind of gives this step cousin kind of vibe, like Rocket League being the younger step cousin in this matchup in a sense. And as I've seen a lot of people saying that Rocket League is one of the games that's very unique to itself. However, there's a lot of like interesting connections with Trackmania scene. Not only there's a community overlap happening between many players. Recently I have seen that Sunless Khan, who is a Rocket League content creator, has been doing collabs with Trackmania content creators, like Sunless Khan doing with Scrappy. I saw Rizzo doing one with Virtual as well. Then in more competitive forms of levels, the player Scrub Killer, who used to be a world champion in Rocket League, used to play Trackmania, like even before he was really good, or before him entering the pro scene. He had some decent let's just say performances, maybe not tournament-wise in Trackmania, but he, at least time attacking-wise, he was doing something here and there in Trackmania Nations and United Forever. Might not be in world records, but still he was doing some top times. Also, there was the Rocket League World Champion substitute for Vitality, called Nexo, who was also one of the top players in terms of campaign standings in matchmaking, especially when matchmaking became really like a thing for Trackmania, especially in TM 2020. He was always there at the top of the standings as well, and also playing in a lot of like these community events for Exalty, which Exalty was also an org that, at least back in the days in the Rocket League scene, had a team in the European RLCS, but Exalty now is playing in, at least in this year's circuit, they played in TMCL, also are now have a double teams qualified for their World Championship wildcard events in Trackmania. So even with those minor details, I think the biggest ones are definitely some of the personalities that have recently showed up. While there was also, let's just say, a circuit reform for Trackmania esports scene, and since there were way more tournaments now happening for all regions, there was definitely need for broadcast talent. And one of the people who were the most interested in doing so were from the Rocket League community. For example, in APAC broadcasts, there was Max Formal, who was doing OCE broadcasts in RLCS. Gex, who was doing APAC broadcasts, was also a part of APAC regionals in Trackmania. We had an SSA caster from RLCS also joining in for MEA regionals. And I feel like definitely within the TM scene, the most well-known probably would be Nualok from the Nualok and Twiggy casting duo that originally started for EU regionals, but afterwards they became like as the face of TMCL, which was the secondary league during the World Tour circuit this year. And definitely kind of gave themselves a bit more recognition within the Trackmania scene. Even outside of those, he was like doing like mini RPG of the week events as well during the year. And some of the other ones is that, at least the ones that I have most personal experience with, was a player called Randomize. Most people might have not heard the name, but he was the CEO of an organization that's playing in North America, Rocket League, or North American RLCS. And recently, well, not so much recently, it's more than a year honestly right now, but he has entered Trackmania, is one of the main people of a clan called Air, and has played in Trackmania NCSA, which is the Americas region in Trackmania. Playing in those, also has been casting some of the regionals, especially when the Americas scene was having a massive lack of casting power for Trackmania. and was able to come in and show a very solid production and presentation of the region, even outside being a player as well, at least trying to get better. And I would say definitely brought in a bit way more professionalism and the way how to approach the game more competitively in America's region. And there's a lot of like these people who, let's just say, came from the other games where had way more experience in their competitive structures and kind of helped a lot of community people who are at the ground roots level and helped them elevate and get more used to how it is like to properly improve at the games and everything like that. Then if we speak about the bigger events, what could be like the main big events that could be coming for Trackmania, since RLCS World Championship was such a spectacle? Well, for Trackmania soon, we have the Ascension Tournament, which is more of a French dem kind event, which is hosted by Zerator, who is always doing every single year these massive events for Trackmania. And this year is also definitely a very notable one. It's currently the biggest prize pool event for Trackmania history, which is gonna be 128,000. Some of them at the time of making this video has been already distributed from first qualifier, with second one coming soon, and the main event will have the biggest prize monies one. But since this kind of prize money is still very noteworthy, drop in the bucket comparing to what does the Rocket League scene have. While in terms of a bit more official levels, there's going to be soon the Trackmania World Championship, which is going to be a multiple month-long event. While in Rocket League, it is just 2 weekends. In Trackmania, it's multiple months, which is like its own, like a pseudo-season, basically. Which is where we have 2 open qualifying slots, and we have the best teams from each of the regions. And then they're going to main event. Where currently, how the finals are going to be look like, the currently information is not there, but the wildcard is going to be soon, which is going to be the close qualifier here. And we'll see how that goes, because I think it's going to be a pretty cool spectacle, see how these communities will be connected as well. As the format is very similar, at least structurally, it's very similar to what Rocket League has, with best teams from each community kind of being represented. So we'll see how this will look like then at the end of the year. Additionally, many other community tournaments and leagues and stuff like that will also be coming towards next year. And overall, we would still love to see more of like these overlaps and connections happening between the Rocket League scene and Trackmania scene personally, because I really like that some of the people who have came from the Rocket League background, as it is a way more developed game as an esports, and there are a lot of people who have been trying out Trackmania, definitely give a lot of experience to people who are just living within the Trackmania bubble. At least one of the best, more noteworthy things to kind of mention from working behind the scenes, especially has caused a lot more experience for some of the Trackmania only casters or community members, which is, I would say, at the ground roots level has really helped the game develop in terms of a competitive community level. But yeah, outside of that, I have heard that also that many top players who are or used to be a bit more top players as well have been giving a shot at Trackmania. There used to be a player, I mean, she still competes, is called Tallyboard in the Americas or NA regionals, or basically in the NA region in RLCS, and she does compete a lot in the community tournaments in Trackmania for many years actually now. So there's already, like, in every region there's kind of like this overlap happening, and we'll love to see more of this happening in the future as well. Anyway, this is going to be a small ramble video from me today. What are some of your experiences between the connections between the two player bases? Make sure to comment that down below. I would really love to hear some stories from your side. But yeah, that's going to be a small video from me. Thank you for watching, and see you later. Bye-bye.